Okay, I'm going to call it Terrace Tuesday. We're going to go to the Southern Carpathian Mountains in the country of Romania, and we're going to find some pretty sweet river terraces. Now here we can see a step sequence of river terraces. This forms when a river decreases. Each of these banks is a step, and the terrace is the flat land that was once the river bottom. The river gets much larger downstream. Here it's 13 kilometers measured from the terrace point. And it expands up to 40 kilometers at its base. And you can see that the river banks are very straight, but over long distances they curve just like a large river. This tells us that a 22-kilometer river flowed through here and carved this channel. Because if a small meandering river pushed back the bank, then the banks would be full of C-shaped bites, as seen in this Canadian example. But this channel has the expected shape of a single stream that curves and expands as one. Now we're going to explore downstream, and we are going to find more terrace steps. This gives us more data on the past river. But let's keep going downstream. Around the corner is where it gets really good. These river banks are very clean, and they both curve and expand together. This is a clear indication that they are evidence of a decreasing megastream. The inner bank is evidence of a 30-kilometer river, and the outer bank is evidence of a 40-kilometer river. Alright, it's Terrace Tuesday, and we're going to check out some terraces in Baja. Now, there's a whole lot of erosion going on in this landscape, but we're going to start by checking out these two channels right here. I don't know if you guys see both the channels. This channel here is the most apparent, but this right here is also a massive channel. But first, let's study this one. Alright, we've got a nice triple step sequence. If this was a staircase, it'd be 3 steps to the top. Therefore, we can learn the past river widths, which is told by each of these banks. So let's get a little measurement from here to about here, 1.4 kilometers. Do a measurement from here to here, almost 2 kilometers. But when we go to the other channel, which is a little bit more shallow, but you can still see the bank edge of the channel. This was once the river bank on both sides. So now we're dealing with a channel that was once over 2 kilometers, about 2.4 kilometers. But what's up with this pattern all over the landscape? Well, that's actually a ripple formation. All of this is a ripple formation. And even this here. Right, so in this shot you see a decreasing river that decreased in 3 main steps. And then we see a ripple formation. Wavelength from crest to crest, 90 meters. And then now look at how wide this channel gets up here, very straight edge. And then all around it are these horizontal forms, which you can't help but to think they look exactly like a ripple formation. Okay, here's a good example of a river with a lot of step sequences. These ones have a little bit more of a meander to them, but you can tell by the vertical height of these banks that this was from a serious water current. And here you can see more detail of 2 water levels on this bank. Okay, so you see these darker spots? That's the good stuff. Zoom into there, and you'll find a bunch of mounds that have been sculpted out by fluvial action. This is the best way mounds form on the large scale and on the small scale. It's from streams running between them and removing all the other soil and only leaving behind the mounds. Alright, it's Terrace Tuesday. Let's check out some river terraces in New Zealand. Now, these river terraces are kind of hard to see the big picture on Google Earth, so let's go to a topographical map so we can really see the past of this river valley. So now with a topographical map, we can really see the cliff and terrace step sequences much better. This is about 4.8 kilometers here, and this is a little less than 4 kilometers here. But you can see that there's wide river channels all over this New Zealand valley. And to the north, there's another really good channel that's very wide. And so that's this channel right here on the topographical map. And we're dealing with a river that was once 5 kilometers wide. Now, by far the biggest river channel is this southern one right here. Really nice clean riverbank here. And then another nice straight clean riverbank here. And this actually forms a massive expansion bar. And you could measure this at over 14 kilometers. Now, the cool thing about New Zealand is not only does it have really nice river terraces, but it also has great examples of moraines. So this right here is a fantastic example of moraines made by glaciers. It's very disorganized, and they make ridges, right? See, these are all ridges, which is not what a river terrace is. A river terrace is a right angle, and moraines are ridges. So big difference. So when we go to a topographical map, we can see that difference very clearly. The highest elevation is right in the center of it, and on either side the elevation decreases. There's a good ridge there. Now this right here is a classic terminal moraine. You can see the ridge on the edge of it. Here's another terminal moraine. And then when we make our way back to the river terraces, we see that it doesn't have that feature at all. Once it makes a step up in the color gradient, that color gradient stays. Then another change in the color gradient, and then that stays. So these are all river terraces because they're square edges, and they're not moraines because moraines are ridges. Thanks for watching Terrace Tuesday. Okay, it's Terrace Tuesday, and we are going to southern France. This is the Garonne River, and it actually sits inside multiple massive channels. So let's use a topographical map to check it out. Okay, so this is that same confluence right here. And we got this riverbank here, this riverbank here, and this riverbank all the way over here. Now this distance is 16 kilometers. So that means there was a river 16 kilometers wide. And then when this river decreased into the next stage that was smaller, it curved and made this bank here. And the curve of this bank is made by the exact flow of that river at that point in time. And same goes for the next one, which also has a nice curve to it over here. And then we can follow these river terraces downstream. And we actually find that the river channel then greatly decreases. But we can go over here, find another little step sequence.